to the Cosmic Confluence podcast, where we explore the secret intersections of soul, story, and the stars. I'm your host, Sana, and today's episode is not just cosmic, it is galactic. Well, listeners, joining us is John Napolitano, a galactic Akashic reader, psychic, medium, and healer, whose journey to spiritual service began in some of the most unexpected places. On the battlefield as a US Marine, on the streets of DC as a police officer, and later behind the lens as a filmmaker. But underneath, it all was a deeper calling, one that finally awakened in 2020, leading John into the multidimensional realms of Galactic Akashic Records and the interstellar healing. So, with that, John, welcome to the show, and it is such an honor to have you with us.
Well, thank you. It's an honor to be here. So I greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Sana.
Great. So, John, we'll before we go on to the topic, we'll let's start with your story. I mean, it's incredibly unique, from marine to police and then to medium. I mean, what was it like going from high intensity, high stress environments to receiving messages from galactic beings?
Sure. Well, to be honest, it actually started a lot sooner than when I was in the Marines. When I was a kid, my great grandfather he lived to 105 years old, and then he passed away. It was a shock, but it was the first death in the family that I was that came to me, and several, maybe a few weeks or month after his passing, I remember while I was dreaming, I saw him like essentially rise up from beneath my bed, and he was trying to talk to me. And in real in life, when he was alive, I could never understand him because he was Italian, came right from Italy, could barely speak any English, but he came up. He was trying to speak with me with his hands, well, which is a very Italian thing to do. But he also couldn't speak English very well, so he was trying to talk and communicate with me with his hands. I was very confused by it. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. Well, as I got older, other, relatives would pass away, and then again, same thing. They would come and they would talk to me, generally during the sleep state, with messages of, "I'm okay, tell my family I'm alright, and it was kinda confusing, but after a while, I started to realize, "Okay, I think there's something to it." Um, and, am I very similar to, like, those, 900 psychics that I see on TV? Um, but I didn't really put too much of it. And then, fast forward years later, when I was in Iraq, I already knew I was psychic, of course, but I didn't really, do much about it. But when I was in Iraq, I remember one day, while again, much of it came while I was asleep at that time, um, in the astral realm. I remember my squad, my unit had been, responding, to an attack, on one of our other squads, that were in a vehicle, an armored vehicle, and, I remember going to the scene, and their vehicle had been destroyed. Now this is in my dream state, I wanna say, not in real life, but, um, their vehicle had been destroyed, and I remember walking into the vehicle and seeing everyone in there, and they're all gone. Um, and it was horrifying to me. I could just remember it, seeing them in my, very vividly. I see them right now. And I woke up from it. And later that afternoon, I thought in my head, I'm like, gosh, I hope that doesn't happen. I really don't. I hope that doesn't happen. We get the
Mm.
call. We get the call that one of the squads in our unit got hit by an IED out there. And the squad that I saw in my dream that was killed went out to respond to them in one of these armored vehicles. They went to go help them, and we were the next squad up to help them if they got in trouble. And I was sweating bullets. I was just afraid, like, "Oh my gosh, I seen this. I'm seeing it's gonna happen. I can't go through this, in life." Well, thankfully, thank God they went and they managed to they took a different route than they were supposed to, and they got to the unit, they helped the Marines who were injured in the attack, and they all came back, everybody survived that day. Um, and I was just like, I was so relieved, and I told a couple other guys after that, what had happened, but I was really relieved, and it wasn't until years later that I realized what ended up happening was I was being shown a reality, a potential reality. Psychics, many of us, sometimes we can predict future events, but what they really are predicting future possibilities, because there's multiverse and multi realities, and they're based on decisions, and we play out all these different decisions. Well, I was being shown the reality that I was um, about to live through in my current life, and what I believe happened was in that moment, I actually shifted realities into the life where they all survived, and that I didn't have to go and respond to that disaster, of carnage. And I think about where I'd be today if if I had to actually live through that, um, and go through that life where I saw that death from my friends being killed. So yeah, so a lot of that started happening in Iraq, and when I got back, I started going through the post-traumatic stress of the combat conditions and the attacks that we went through there, and my psychic abilities really heightened at that point, to the point where I was actually one night, while I was asleep again, a woman had called me in my dream, and she told me in 3 days, I'm going to die. And now that's never happened to me before, where somebody just outright, predicted that to me. Well, sure enough, a few hours later, and I had a feeling it was like related to my girlfriend at the time. And a few hours later, she called me and said, "John, my great grandmother is in the hospital, and it doesn't look good." She was in tears, and sure enough, this woman who I didn't even know existed, I didn't even know that my girlfriend had a grandma at the time. Her great grandma passed away 3 days later. And I was just like shocked by it. And I remember telling my friend before she even told me what was going on, that I had that dream. So fast forward, sorry, my long-windedness. A few years later, it's 2020. I'm a filmmaker now. I'm loving life. I'm really enjoying my career. Well, then all of a sudden, COVID happens. Hits the world. America shuts down, and the film career that I thought was going to be perfect, and just get better and better, just stopped. And I felt this disconnect from filmmaking and from, what was important to me in life. It was a full disconnect. And I thought to myself, why am I feeling this way? And I didn't realize, but I was beginning my spiritual awakening, which come to find out many people started their spiritual awakening in 2020. This wasn't unique just to me. And it took some time. I went through many changes. My wife and I at the time split up, and we went through different changes. I went through meandering through filmmaking after things opened up and trying to rebuild a new career. Um, but something else was pulling me. It was pulling me to serve, to help others. And I kept going in that direction. And it got to the point where, I just thought to myself, you know what? I always feel like I've been kind of negative and down on myself. I want to be better, So I started meditating. I just wanted to I wanted to uplift my spirits and raise my frequency, my vibes at the time. I just wanted good vibes. And what I ended up doing was I just started meditating, but within a couple of weeks of meditating, I just started like things started happening. First, like I was thinking about, like, I'm disappointed with my meditations, what's going on? And all of a sudden I find myself om, doing the om. And it wasn't until I started looking into, Hindu culture and religion. And, we talked a little bit about it before we started today. And I started to realize Om is I believe it's the sound of, creation. It's
Yeah.
the first sound. And I would just started doing it out of nowhere. Like, it was just my guides, like, dropping it in my head and saying, say this. And then after that, it was breakthroughs for me. And I started feeling better. I could feel the energy swirling through me. I would be like my upper body at times, my torso would be kind of like spinning on my hips. Um, and I didn't understand why that was happening while I was meditating, but it was like the energy is pulling, breaking through blockages within my body through all the way up my each chakra of mine until it released. And then from there, I started seeing like random things out of the corner of my eye and having more spiritual experiences and seeing like, bits and pieces of spirits and ghosts and feeling them around and feeling different energies. So so I started trying to figure out like maybe I should start taking psychic classes. Like I know I'm a psychic, but I want to get a handle on it. I want it to be more than just dreams. I want to be able to tap in. And from there, as I'm meditating, I'm starting to take psychic classes. All of a sudden, I see one day I see like these flashes of lights in my vision as I'm meditating, and then I start seeing these creatures and they're gray and I'm like, "What is going on here?" And then I start making them out, and they're like these little gray aliens, that we see on TV and all that. And then all of a sudden, this big face, this big gray alien just, like, emerges, like, right in front of my face. This is my mind's eye, of course. He's like right in my face. We're looking at each other. So we're having like two dudes staring at each other. And I feel like just neutral energy coming from him. Like, I might be able to be abducted. What's going on? But there's just neutral, and we're just two dudes staring at each other. So I say, if you're not going to talk to me, you got to go. So he left. A couple weeks later, I'm, in the middle of my first like major psychic development class, and I roll over to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, again, those lights, those flashes, bursts of lights in my eyes start appearing, and I open my eyes, and there he is again. He just emerges, same guy as before. And, we're looking at each other and I say, "You gotta go if you don't have a message for me." Like, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt, that you're not the bad guy that I'm hoping you're not. Uh, but he left, and then that night I had a couple of disturbing dreams, and, I think they were trying, these grays were trying to keep me off and keep me, kind of pull me away from, the psychic development classes that I was taking, and just frightened me. A few days later, after that, I'm confused. I'm asking my teachers. We're all trying to figure it out together. And again, same thing. I'm about to go to sleep. It always happens when I'm kind of like in that calm theta, reaching that theta state of brain activity right before sleep. I see these flashes again. I'm like, all right, here we come. This guy's coming back to me. Well, he doesn't come back this time, but instead I get a download. And before I didn't even understand what downloads were, but now I get it. So I see this download. I see pictures, images, documents just flashing before my eyes really quick it's like in the movies where you see kind of like that computer, like a download, and it's all these images and stuff. But it's not like that. And I remember seeing like these dark towers and like very moody scenes, imagery, explosions, and desolation. And I got an intuitive knowing that it was the wars in Orion that I was seeing, the Orion Empire. I didn't even know what the Orion Empire was at that point. Um, the next night we had a class and I asked my teacher, I'm like, "What is going on with all this stuff?" And she's like, "You know you're an incarnated extraterrestrial, right?" And I was like, that's a thing? Like, that's real?" Like, she's like, "You're a starseed." I'm like, "What is a starseed?" I didn't even know what it was at the time, but, so here I am going through my spiritual awakening, And then all of a sudden I get this galactic spiritual awakening, as I call it, where it's just like my alien heritage all of a sudden starts popping through and comes through. And from there on, like I tried to consume as much as I could about it and the history and all that, and trying to understand it. It was months later. I couldn't find like an image of this guy. And then one day I went to another Galactic Akashic Reader site, and I
Mhm.
found her. And she had some history images and history and galactic history on it. And um I went to the Orion page, and I saw the same exact dude looking at, that gray alien that was on her website, was staring me in the face, the same one that I saw, in during my meditations. And from there on, like, I just, I consumed galactic history, and just tried to get and learn everything I could about it until one day, months later, I decided I was like, I want to take Galactic Akashic course. Um, and, because I knew of Akashic records. I wanted, I just felt the calling to do a galactic. So I looked it up, and sure enough, there was somebody that was teaching a course on it, within 2 weeks of my search. So I signed up for it immediately, and I went ahead and, started taking the course. And while I was taking the course, I was reading, books on the Akashic Records. I was learning the, pathway prayer process, and the while maybe a week or 2 after, starting this class and, learning more about the Akashic Records, in the process, I all of a sudden, like, started while I was asleep feeling, frequency shifts. Like, I would be, like, feeling really, like, not high in, like, a druggy state, but, like, I just felt kinda, like, very light and relaxed, while I was asleep. I'm like, "What is going on? This is very strange." So I felt, like, very light, and then I would start feeling myself descend, um, and then it got to a point where I'm like, "Oh." I'm 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 going through different dimensions right now. Like, I'm frequency hopping to higher dimensions, to lower dimensions. I'm feeling the differences. So I started taking, once I figured out what was happening, I started calling the shots. I said, "Okay, let me go up to the sixth dimension." I could feel so light and everything. I'm like, "Okay, let me go down to the third dimension." So I would go down to the third dimension, and I'd feel like this crushing feeling. It's like, if you ever go, like, jump in the water and, like, swim down to the bottom of the pool, or, like, try to go really, low in, like, a pond or a lake or something, you just start feeling that crushing feeling of the pressure. Well, that's how the third dimension feels when when you start getting used to, like, the sixth dimension, or even the fourth or fifth dimension. You just feel that crushing feeling. So I started this whole, frequency hopping thing, and then, uh, after that, then I could be walking through a crowd, and I'd start feeling people's energies, and I would start feeling where they've come from. I'd be like, I'd walk through, I'd be at a restaurant or whatever, or, even just walking down the street, and I look at someone, and I'm like, "Oh, they're Syrian. Why do I know that? Oh, this person's Pleiadian. This person, oh, cool, they're Arcturian. This one's Andromedan." And I could just feel their different energies over, some more than others. And, for some people, I could be sitting at, like, I don't know, I could just sit somewhere, I can look at them, and I can see, I could see all the way past to their first incarnations. It depends on, what I'm realizing is how open their higher self is, to my records, that we have this, like, agreement to each other. They're like, kinda like tipping the hat to me, like, "Hey, check out my history." And I could just see it all the way through. And then other people, I can only see maybe just the starseed archetype that they are, feeling this in this, life right now. It's like, okay, I could just see, your Pleiadian self, and that's about it. Where other people all the way back to, first incarnation, maybe in Vega, or, in Lyra, or, some people even further away. Like, some people come from different universes. I can pick that up, which is, really cool. Um, and it got to this point where, this is all happening while I'm doing the training, and, I'm trying to decide like, what's going on? Am I doing this right? I hope I'm not going crazy here. And it got to a point where one night I was asleep, but I found myself in this huge space, and there were like hundreds, if not thousands, of other people there. Um, and they, we're all walking around and all of a sudden I'm like in this it's strange dark like street, and a silhouette like gets popped in front of me, and I start getting instant downloads of this person's galactic life, their galactic profile, essentially their file. And I just get it. It's like all the way back, and it's just like I don't need to see their face. It's just I get instant downloads of each one, and then they put another person for me, and then another, and then I realize what is happening here. Asking myself, and I realize I'm in a simulation right now. I'm in a training simulation, and I'm on an Arcturian training vessel. It's just a knowing that I received, just like the same one that I felt about the Orion Wars, a year or so earlier. And so the good American, the good, guy that I am, I'm like, well, they can't just like abduct me. I know they're the good guys, but they can't just abduct me and throw me in this simulator. Like, take me to your leader. I want to talk to the manager. So I went and, I demanded to talk to whoever was in charge there, the Arcturian. So they took me to this room that looked like almost like from Star Trek, like the
Mhm.
transporter room, but it wasn't a transporter. Uh, it was a hologram it was like a holographic emitter, and because the Arcturians, especially these Arcturians, were so high dimensional that they could only, show themselves through, like this holographic emitter. So they took me into this room, and they essentially holographically materialize in front of me, and then they start talking to me, and, um, I don't remember every exact word they said, but the basic concept that I received from them was that I don't need the traditional pathway prayer process. Like, this is part of just who I am, is where I could just I just receive these downloads, and I can understand people's energies right off the bat. And this is kind of this is the new access to the Akashic Records, the Galactic Akashic Records that are coming online on Earth, on this planet. And it's not just me. There are thousands, like I saw in this simulation in the beginning, thousands of people around the globe that are starting to receive this information, that are part of this training. And, maybe they're not like in this exact moment of time in there, but they're all part of it, over time, they're gonna start receiving it, because originally Akashic once the Akashic Records uh, uh, was able to be accessed by humans, not too long ago, like maybe it was about 100 years ago with, um one of the first Akashic readers that we know, Edgar Casey. He was they called him the sleeping prophet. He had to be like in a full sleep trance, talking, and his wife would take notes and record all of his prophecies and all of his information, and then years later, the Akashic readers would have to use like a prayer to access, like to open the records, almost like a key. But now it's getting to the point where we don't need that. It's just instant downloads. And it's, as long as you're open to those frequencies, you have those downloads.
Wow.
I hope I answered your question. I kind of went
You're
on
more
a tangent
than
there.
yeah, more than that. I mean, let me ask you, so some people would call these like premonitions
Mhm.
or maybe flashes of future events which are going to happen. And what I believe that our souls are energies, and energies they travel across dimensions.
Mhm.
They can be at different locations in different lifetimes or different, multiverses. So, do you think, or when you started to discover that you're getting these premonitions or visions, do you feel that this is a gift or a curse? I mean, what was going through your mind?
It depends on your mindset. At times I thought, I thought it could be cursed, or it was scary, like, especially when this woman, you know, calls me, through my dream, and she, says, 3 days, I'm gonna die, like, crap, like, what can I do about it? Like, that's it, like, there was nothing I can do about it. It's not like the movies where, the psychic's like, "Don't step there," and the person, takes a step in the other direction and they're saved, like, for me, it's not really like that. I'm being shown events, or sometimes possibilities of events, like, I know, actually before maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks before I left for training to go to Iraq, again, in my dream state, I was sitting in the water on a beach, and all of a sudden these giants, massive giant monsters came out of the water, right past me and walked onto the beach and started smashing and destroying buildings, throwing cars into the water, and just causing all this destruction. And when I woke up, that morning, I went downstairs and I saw on the news that uh, the tsunami in 2005 in, Southeast Asia, in the Pacific, had swept through all, the islands and in Indonesia and all these different places and caused all this destruction, and I was being shown, while I was happening, um, in the, astral realm, what was going on. I'm powerless. I was powerless to do anything, and, at the time, I felt like maybe, like I'm being cursed, being shown these events and I can't do anything. Now that I've shifted my mind and I understand what's happening, I'm being shown these things, uh, to be part of as of an observer. I can help others with it. I can help others, cope and work through their traumas associated with things like, that happened. So no, I don't see it as a curse. It is a blessing to me. And at times I don't always see, what's exactly going to happen, but at times it is, the possibilities, or I'm shown the alternate realities, that I'm not in.
Makes sense. Absolutely makes sense, John. Hey, so before we wrap up, so for someone listening who might identify as a star seed or a light worker, or they may be remotely interested into this, but they feel disconnected or maybe kind of discouraged by the skepticism around this. What are some first steps to reawaken those dormant gifts?
Well, honestly, there's nothing to be scared of. We at first, that just even a spiritual awakening can feel scary. Seems like there's this rite of passage at times called the dark night of the soul when these things occur, and sometimes it'll come with some confusion, some mixed feelings, some, misunderstanding of what's going on. But if you as soon as you can allow yourself to surrender to these energies and, allow them to take shape, allow them to work through you and surrender to them, you will, uh, it'll become a lot easier. You're not fighting upstream to swim upstream of these energies. Just allow them to take you and go through the ride. And when, for star seeds out there, it can definitely be scary out there with some of these different things. Like, I know, some of the star seeds I've, spoken with, they've had, dreams, or they've had these knowings. They look up to the sky and they're looking for those UFOs out there like I used to when I was a kid. Or
Yeah.
they see like a constellation and just feel this energy towards it. And especially if you look up and you see maybe Orion, or you see the Lion's Gate, or Sirius, or the Pleiades out there, depending on wherever you are in the world, and you just feel a calling to it, you know, go ahead and sit and, feel this energy. um, meditate if possible. Meditate, just clear your mind and meditate and just start focusing your energy towards that constellation or just towards the sky and allow yourself to feel the energies out there. And, you know, and surrender yourself to receiving whatever energies are coming back. And, understand that, you are a powerful multidimensional being. We all are. Many of us are light workers, many of us are star seeds out there now. And you are a powerful multidimensional being that exists not only in the third dimension of Earth in this reality, but many other realities on Earth, as well as in the heavens, and even in the future, the past, and even in parallel lives. Not only here on Earth, but in the galactic realm. And you can tap into those lives. I do have my own parallel life in as a Pleiadian officer in the Galactic Federation. So sometimes I will tap into him and get information from him and everything. And he'll get information from me on what's going on here on Earth as well. But don't be afraid of what's going on out there. You are a starseed and you are a powerful being in your own right. And that goes for everyone listening now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That's a beautiful message, John. And if our listeners would like to get in touch with you, explore your work, your creativity, and share their stories as well, what's the best way to do that?
Yes, I invite everyone, if you come to my website, Galactic guidance.com. There you can find out more about galactic history. I have a whole section with all these different, star peoples out there, talking about the galactic history and all the different beings that I'm aware of. There's many more that I haven't written about yet, but I'm working on it. Give me a chance, folks. But go through there, and then I have plenty of sample teaser readings on it, and then you can learn a little bit more about me. And if you go to my blog as well, which I'm just starting up now, I talk a little bit about some of my experiences, some of the dreams I've had, some of the experiences, the learning about my own self, my parallel self. I just wrote an article that was fun about galactic animals, which is fun. That's something I'm learning more about. Our some of these animals, some of our that there are starseed animals out there that come along with us on our journeys and support, which is pretty cool. So you can learn a little bit about my starseed animals that I have, and you can let me know in the comments about yours as well. And if you feel guided for a reading, I have different options on there that you can take a look at, and I'd love to explore your galactic history with you. So, and not just galactic. The fun thing about what I've learned about all this is I also I've learned about people's galactic lives, but also their fairy lives and their lives. There are incarnated and angels among us as well, and I've seen those as well. And it's just been fascinating to learn about so many different people out there, from star seeds to angelics.
That is so great. That is so interesting, John. I'll make sure to have all the details in the show notes for our listeners to explore this. And John, thank you so much on this expansive journey. Your story reminds us that no matter where we begin, be it the battlefield or the streets or the screen, our soul always knows the way home, and sometimes that home stretches far beyond the earth or the planet we are living in, into what we can see. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sana. And Sana, I wanna ask one more thing if we have just a moment.
Mm.
I'm gonna make a huge assumption here. Are you familiar with Swami Vivekananda?
Yes, yes, yes,
Okay.
definitely.
So, when I started my spiritual awakening, a little bit before the galactic awakening, I wanted to consume, like, I felt more drawn to Hinduism and learning more about that and the different. But I was guided to a book, the Complete Book of Yoga by Swami Vivekananda, and I learned that he came to America and the West and Europe as well. So I was reading his book, and it's a long book. It took me quite a while. It took me months to get through it, and having to reread because he's, such concepts to me were, mind blowing. But one night I fell asleep while reading his book, and all of a sudden this bellowing, powerful voice came to me and said, "This is the most important book you'll ever read." Like, it woke me up. I'm like, "Who the heck was that?" And then
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll wake up, I'll keep going." And then I thought to myself, because I was like, dead asleep on the couch, I'm like, "Is this real?" And all of a sudden I felt this like powerful like vibration on my bottom. I'm like, "What the heck was that?" And I'm like, Who was that?" And then it finally occurred to me not too long ago. I'm like, who would have such a stake in this book to wake me up for it and say it's the most important book? I'm like, Swami Vivekananda, like, literally woke me up, like, contact me and woke me up and was like, "This is the most important book you'll ever read." I'm like, "I get it." So now I'm like, I'm not rereading it, I'm re-listening to it on Audible, so I'm having fun with it, and, I'm afraid to fall asleep while listening to it. I don't know what he'd do to me if I don't finish it. So I just wanted to share that story. I thought it was funny. He's kind of a funny guy, so I was hoping. I just finished, y autobiography of a yogi with Yogananda, and I was hoping I'd have that experience too, but I don't think he's my swami, so, yeah, I just wanted to share that. I know it's a little ridiculous, but I had to tell somebody.
No, good because sometimes yes, we kind of get so many signs or indications, maybe in our dreams or maybe through people or through objects or through nature, through animals. So it's really wild. It's really
Yeah.
ethereal, and it really shows that how connected we are. Although we are individuals, but we are so connected. We are connected with each other. We're connected with the nature. We're connected with the universe, multiverse.
Exactly, and not every and I know, I guess I'm just keep going and going here, but, not keep in mind, everybody, not every, message you get from your guides or your guardian angels or God himself, is has to be profound and life-changing. I
Mhm.
remember one of the first messages I got was the word "diaper," and I got to my car and had, my daughter was in diapers at the time, and I got to my car and, I didn't have a diaper in her bag for her, and I was about to go pick her up, and I got the word diaper. I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna go get a diaper." So I ran upstairs, I went and got a diaper for for her, and sure enough, like an hour later, here I am, like, having to change her diaper. If I didn't have that diaper, I'd be I'd be in, deep doo doo.
Yeah.
So not every, message you get is has to be a profound life-changing experience, but it's just out there to help you, so to pay attention to them and learn to trust them, and it'll make your life a lot easier and helpful. So everyone's looking out for us up there.
That's beautiful, John. That is such a useful and really, really beautiful message. So thank you once again, John, so much for this conversation. And thank you to all of my listeners for joining us on Cosmic Confluence. Until next time, keep listening to the whispers of the universe and the ones within you. Thank you.